Hi, you're listening to Sharing Values Across Borders, a podcast featuring Christoph Stückelberger as he recounts the first 20 years of the Globethics story.
It's interesting that, the story with the books of the trunk in the car is still on the top of my mind because, the physical, the geographical borders at that time were absolute and really everything, right? It's just, it's a world that's difficult for me to imagine. But now we have digital borders. There's great firewalls, for example. There's censorship. There's not very many places in the world that have a true open and accessible and democratic internet, right? A lot of digital spaces are not public spaces, for example. So in a way, is there still a need for these books in the trunk of a car? Like, is there still a way that we have to circumvent new digital boundaries? We have this wonderful online repository, but it's certainly not accessible to everyone.
It's a very good point. And, my approach is a bit the following. First of all, we need the vision and the value. That means we need the vision that we want to overcome boundaries. Is it the physical boundary as 50 years ago? Is it a digital boundary? Is it an ideological boundary? Because we say, no, we cannot learn something from China, or China is dangerous, so let's avoid any contact with China or with Kazakhstan or with whatever. So I think the first step is always to say we want to overcome boundaries because we have one humanity and we want to deal with each other in a fair way. And the second is innovation. We need to have the vision. Okay, if we have this vision of overcoming boundaries, we need to be creative. And that needs a certain amount of it needs creativity, but it needs also courage. I published a book with Africans on African innovation ethics because we try to find out in a 1-week workshop with experts what are the conditions to be innovative and inclusive at the same time. So, and one of my observations is it's not enough to have good ideas. You need then the courage to do it, from inspiration to innovation. And why courage? Because we need to be creative to say we accept legal boundaries, we accept political boundaries, we accept economic constraints, but we at the same time try to navigate and overcome it piece by piece, not necessarily in a radical way. We destroy the White House and whatever, but we go to the limit and where possible beyond the limit. And I'm not, that's also an important side remark. I'm not in favor of suicidal heroes. You run to a wall and you want to destroy the wall, but you die because you run in the wall. That's not my approach. My approach is wisdom combined with courage. We need to have an analysis, and of course it was a risk to go to Romania with a car. But it was also a bit of calculated risk. So, okay, we may be in jail a few weeks, but that's not compared to the lack of access to knowledge that he suffers from. That's a reasonable risk. So we calculated risks. That's also risk management in ethics and in development work. So when I carry books to a university in Africa or in Asia, I knew the risk that they may disappear. But that's still better than they steal it, that they don't have it.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, yeah.
So, and now the new challenge is, as you rightly say, people say, yeah, we are in a newly polarized world. We have to accept. We cannot do anything. No, that's not my conviction. My conviction and my experience. It's not a conviction only. It's an experience. If we maintain the idea we are one humanity and we want to live together in a peaceful way, we need bridges, and we need to meet each other digitally or physically. During COVID, it was not possible physically, so we did a lot of online webinars. We have the online library, we continued publishing. Now we have some ideological walls or technological walls, and we try to find, just to expand the space as much as we can. Now, what does it mean? For example, we continue to publish 2 series with China. The China ethics. I must say, thanks to 20 years of me going to China every year, I have a good standing now, and I'm accepted. They know my background. But I'm a visiting professor in Beijing now, and then of course I need to be wise. I will not every day go to the street in favor of Uyghurs or Tibet or Taiwan. But I neither be totally quiet. But I say that's not my mission. My mission is ethics, business ethics, governance ethics, AI. I met Huawei, the research team. I was invited, I was welcome to go there. And I said, look, we know this polarization. Huawei is the enemy now in the West, and many governments avoid Huawei. And I say, but Huawei is an important player. And I know how many countries in Africa and Asia work with Huawei. And so I want to understand, what is your future? What is research in the pipeline? Because I want to see what's coming. And I was guided through their whole, of course, they don't tell me secrets, but it is a good basis. So they said, come back and come to Shenzhen. I was in Beijing in their research center. So, and I published the book on data ethics. We have 2 articles, I think, on this topic, or related to this topic. So that's my way to explore where it's possible and where not. That's a bit my approach, and that's why I think we in Globethics have still. I'm just reflecting now. I think we still have access to all the countries we want to work with. It's amazing in a way. I'm just reflecting what you say. I mean, and that's, of course, it helps us so that we are based in Geneva and we are not based in America or in the UK or in Germany. And that's another side remark. It was a very strategic decision to have the headquarters in Geneva. Why? That's another story. You know, when I designed Globethics, I first thought, we could do it as an institute at my university in Basel. Ethics Institute would be not too complicated to create in my faculty, an ethics center, or in Zurich at the university. But I came to the conclusion, and it took me almost 2 years for all this reflection and 2002 to 2004, I came to the conclusion it has to be a standalone foundation, and it has to be in Geneva. Why? Standalone, because otherwise we are bound to a third institution with their restrictions. University of Basel would say, you can work with them, but not with them, and so on and so on. So we want to be, and we need to be free to work with whomever we want to work. So that's why standalone foundation, not to be alone, but to be able to connect to everybody we want. Is it university? Is it government? Is it a church? Is it a monastery? Is it whatever, an NGO? Is it a network of NGOs? Is it the UN? And that's what we have now in our 200 plus partnership agreements. We work on different levels. In the past, it was more with business circles, with Sustainable Business Network here in Geneva and so on, but now it's with academic institutes. So that is one. Why Geneva? It was a bit of sacrifice because I live in Zurich. It would be easy to have it in Zurich. But from a strategic point of view, I said it has to be Geneva because of international city in Switzerland as a neutral country, so-called, and to have these international networking opportunities and with WCC and all the rest. So I tell it just to show that I'm pragmatic, but at the same time also strategic. So these kind of decisions are a fruit of convictions and values, and then the practical implementation. So it has to be a place which allows the global perspective, and so on. Talking a lot.
That's why we're here. I'm wondering, I do think we should take a break and have a check-in. Is there anything more you wanted to add to what we've talked about? Any unfinished thoughts that you might have about the things? We can always come back to them as well, but just while we're fresh.
Yeah, I think we're coming back and there's a lot to add, and you see a bit this, and that's maybe my approach, this mixture of storytelling and reflection about the story. Lessons learned, so to say, from stories. And maybe that's the fruitful thing of such a book. I like your approach or the proposal to have just stories which can be taught and resorted as you feel appropriate. And then these pieces of reflection linked to a story or provoked by a story or not linked.